Hello and welcome to the Vlogging Pod. Tonight we are joined by Greta. Now I hope I don't mess up your last name. Is it Picklesmer? Picklesmer?
No, no, it's
No?
Picklesimer.
Picklesimer. Okay, Picklesimer.
You're
I
close.
am so I am the
You're
most horrible
close.
on pronunciation.
You're close.
Close. Okay, Picklesimer. All right. Now where does that name originate from? Do you know?
Um, I tell people that it originated when it changed when we came over from Germany,
Mm-hmm.
and I tell people that my great 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 grandfather got off the boat carrying a barrel of pickles, and so then they named him Picklesimer.
Oh,
That's
wow.
I have no idea. No, I'm kidding. Um, I have no idea how the name originated but it changed when we
It
came
changed.
over. So,
Oh, that's very
yeah.
interesting. And where was your family originated?
Um, Actually, my father's side was out of Prussia,
Oh, okay.
Austria, which would be modern day Austria, the Moravia Valley in Austria. And my mother was all over the place, mainly England and um, oh, mainly England. So yeah,
Hmm.
we've been here a
Okay.
while. So
Well,
yeah,
that's cool.
yeah.
Um, I'm a little bit of everything. I am German, Cherokee, and Irish.
Oh
I guess
yes.
three things thrown together
Okay.
there.
We've
German
got
just
some
on my father's
Cherokee.
side.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, German
We've
German just on my father's side and Irish and Cherokee from my mother's side.
okay. So we've got Cherokee on both sides.
Oh,
Of
okay.
mother and father. So, but I mean, this is back. So, I
Right.
mean, quite a ways back. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm my husband actually did the figuring. We went far as back as you can go, and
Hmm.
we are like on the dead end of it. Like if you could prove your lineage to be you know what I mean, on reservation and all that stuff, but we've
Right.
never done any of that. It's like I said, my it's all on my mother's side, but she did all that charting. She did all the way back.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
But if you looked at my family, it's kind of mixed. I mean, I've got a redhead sister, and, and she's very pale. I tan very easily, but that doesn't really mean anything. My aunts and everything, they looked, my mother's aunts, be my great aunt, they looked very much Cherokee, very dark complected, very long hair, dark. So yeah, we're kind of the mutts of the family. That's all
Okay.
right though.
Mhm.
It's all right. Now, that's interesting for us to talk about our lineage, and the
Mhm.
reason I ask is because you are a historical romance. So you're probably used to diving in. Have you done it yourself as far as your own lineage, using it as a historical background for information?
Um, Not so much. No, I've had cousins that have um, dived into the family history.
Mm-hmm.
And so they, like on my father's side, we have a book that I haven't read, but I own. On my mother's side, a cousin went back to, we have some royalty in our blood. So on my mother's side. And so
Oh.
that was interesting. But as far as doing the research for the historical books that I've written and am writing, um, I have used like stories that my father and mother told about things.
Mm-hmm.
Just uh, my grandparents on my mother's side were born in the 1800s, the late
Mm.
1800s. Yeah. So my grandfather, my mother's father, was born in 1888. And so that, um, going down and visiting with the family in the hills of Kentucky and just
Mhm.
remembering those times before he died. I was 5 when he died, but I have very vivid um, recollections about visiting and those happy memories of just being down south and what we call down south. Um,
Mhm.
and just it was wonderful. It was a wonderful time. So when
Mm.
I started looking at writing romance, I
Mhm.
really wanted to pay tribute to um, my heritage. So
Right.
by writing about and setting my books in Kentucky, even though I
Mm.
was born and raised in Michigan.
Right. Well, you're kind of like writing your books and living around where I'm at. I'm right in Ohio, so we're kind of like neighbors.
Yeah, yeah, we are.
Yeah. I get that. Um, Now what I found interesting, when I was looking you up and doing my little bit of research, um, I found it interesting that you, in another interview, you had, excuse me, you had commented that as a child you wrote vampire plays. So you had an interest in vampire plays, but you write historical romance. So
Right.
how's the leap? I mean, was it, I know it's been a long time, but how's the leap going there?
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry.
I said,
I
how's
was
the leap
taken back
going
by
from
that.
how's the leap going there from vampires to historical romance? I mean, I
Well,
know
I
it's been a
was,
long time, and our
yeah.
youth is, a little bit more, but
Um, so when I was writing the vampire stories, I was about 8 years old,
mhm.
and they were actually very short plays, and
Uh-huh.
like 4 pages, triple spaced, big print. I still have them, and
Mhm.
so is how did I make that leap? Yeah, that's a good question. Um, I actually in 2016 I was on break at work for
Mhm.
lunch, and I have an hour lunch, and so um, we had a book exchange bookcase at work. So I was like, well, I haven't got anything else to do. I think I'll read. So all they had were like either textbooks or romances. And so I grabbed a
Mhm.
romance and started reading it, and I was like, wow, this is pretty bad. And
Yeah.
I I bet I could write something just as bad. And
Mm.
so I thought about it, and uh there was one night I was watching TV, and I was like, I really want to write. I really want to start writing. I'd love to write a novel. I have no idea what I'm doing, but and then this thought came to me of I just can't think. I just can't think. And what clicked was suddenly it was like this story came to me of this woman who had just lost her husband, and she was standing at his gravesite saying, I just can't think. I just can't think. And then, so I wound up writing a novella that has not seen the light of day and probably will not,
Mm.
because it was a historical romance. My um, my first try at historical romance, and um, so there were so many things that now, as I've learned, I'm learning and I'm growing as a writer and as an author. I realized, oh dear, this really, I did it. I really wrote a story that was just as bad as that other one. So I, it's, my mother read it and she loved it. God bless my mother.
Mm,
She has since passed on, and she had always told me, you can do whatever you want to do. And
yeah.
um, so my the second try um, was Second Chance at Happiness, and that one did get picked up by publisher
And
Ambassador International.
that was your first book. That was your first one that you
Yes,
wrote. Yes. Okay.
yes, yes. And so, but she never got to see the finished product of,
Yeah.
she knew I could get published if I tried and, worked at it. And sure enough, I did get published. So,
See,
and
now
then,
I
oh, I'm sorry.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the second book is, in the series, is The Rejected Mail Order Bride.
Right. I have that written down. Don't get too far ahead of me now, because
Oh,
I don't
sorry.
want you to tell me too much too quick.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Then you and I are going to be like, okay, so what color are we dyeing our hair at the end of this? We'll have so much time.
Oh,
12
dear.
minutes in. Don't give me it all. Don't, please, please.
Oh, dear. Okay.
um, so I kind of relate on that. I went the opposite as you. When I was younger, my mother said I would sit down and watch soap operas, and I was really into Harlequin romances. In fact, if I were to step right outside of my sound booth in my she shed here, there is a whole bookcase of nothing but Harlequins in the bookcase,
Oh,
all from my collection. Now, I do write under another name that I write some romances under, but I don't, that's just for fun, you know what I mean? That's just the entertainment fun side and I haven't published any of them yet. I just have a couple. I am working on an editing, but for me, I went from the romances right into like the vampires. So
oh, oh.
I went the little bit of opposite direction, as you. And yeah, I feel for you. I mean, I'm sorry for your loss of your mother. I understand how that feels. I lost my father last year.
Oh, I'm
So,
sorry.
yeah, well, thank you. And my mother lives across the pool. She's got an apartment across on the other side of the pool here. So,
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, the
no.
last time she read one of mine, she was like, "Is this it?"
What?
That's
Oh,
it. That's it. There's no more. Where's the rest of the book? And I'm like, Mom, it takes a while to write this stuff.
oh my goodness. Oh, good. Okay. It was a positive comment, though.
Yes, it was a positive comment.
Okay.
She was like, "Well, where's the rest of it? Where's the next one?" And I'm like, "Well, if they came out that instantaneously, it would be awesome."
Right.
So, now, like you were saying, I mean, like I didn't want to go too fast because I don't want to be like spill the beans too much, but I do want to backtrack just a little bit, and I
Sure.
would love to hear a little bit more because you are on your second book published, and I
Hmm.
want to hear a little bit about the first, though. I mean, you did tell us just a touch of your novella that was your first dab at writing,
Right.
and but I want to hear about Second Chance of Happiness. Tell me about how this book, you like I said, you just gave me a touch of it, but tell me about the whole gist of the book. Tell me the outline of the book, if you would.
Okay. So, there's this woman, Catherine Reed, who married her school sweetheart, and um, he dies in a logging accident on the Cumberland River.
Mm,
So she's forced to return home to her hometown of Harrisville, Kentucky, and um, she gets a job as the local school teacher. She crosses paths with her old school chum and also a school sweetheart, um, Samuel Harris. And it's basically their love story unfolding of
Mm.
um, they were separated by years and two spouses. So his wife dies um, in
With an
childbirth.
an unborn child a year prior, right?
I'm sorry,
I was just
say that
I'm
again.
I have the book bio.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
reading along.
Oh, make sure I'm on track. Yeah.
Yes, I
Okay.
am. You're good.
So, okay, good.
I'm on it, Greta. I'm on it.
Okay. So, all right. Well, I've got the book here too. So,
All right, we're gonna read this bad girl. Let's go.
yeah, that's right. That's right. So, basically, different things happen where um, they decide to go on an outing with the class up into
Mhm.
the mountains, and there's a thunderstorm that comes through, and a tree falls, and just keeps them there overnight, basically.
Mm.
So um, there's that happens, and also she believes that anybody should be allowed to learn that wants to learn.
Mhm.
And her brother, she lives at home with her mother and brother. The brother's name is Harl, and she, um, he has working on his, in the apple orchard that he owns with his mother, the family apple orchard. He has um, ex-slaves, black
Mm.
ex-slaves. And so she comes home from school one day and sees children playing with her child. She's like, "Why aren't these children in school?" And they're like, "Well, because we can't go to school." And she's like, "Well, you should come to my school." Before that, though, there's one of the parents wants to learn to read. And so she allows her to come into the school, and she starts learning to read. So um, I don't know if you know, but Kentucky was split during the Civil War.
Mhm.
Um, it was, part were for the North and part were for the South.
Okay.
So the town is also split. So then Samuel and um, Catherine work to change the minds of the townspeople in order for the ex-slaves' children to be able to attend school with
Mm.
the white children. So, um, and then meanwhile, their love is unfolding, and they're finding that their feelings are toward each other are growing, and they she has a secret. Um, I don't want to tell you what that secret is because you have to read the book. So
Right.
to find out what the secret is, and um, he he just doesn't want anything to do with her toward the end of the book, but then something happens to change his mind.
Mm.
and they go
And you
on.
say and you say this book was picked up by a publisher?
Yeah, Ambassador International. It's a small publishing house,
Hmm.
and
Are they who published your second book as well?
yes,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and I'm working on the third in the series. Uh,
Nice. So
yeah,
now, with it being a series, is it located? Because I know you said you wanted to keep in touch with your books as far as where you grew up and where you were raised, so Kentucky. And are all the books in Kentucky?
so far, yes.
Okay, so they originate.
Yeah.
They're written in Kentucky. Got you. That's where they're located as far as in the story. Got you.
Right, exactly,
Okay. All right.
exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, now, when you talk about your writing, I have read that you're a little bit of a pantser.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh boy.
are. Yeah.
Yes, I am.
I'm right there with you, girl. It's okay. I'm right there with
Okay.
you. There's a lot of plotters out there, and I ain't one of them. So it's okay. It's okay. To be honest with you, when I write, it kind of feels like I'm reading a new book. So I get
Oh
just as
yeah.
excited. Yeah, I get just as excited for the ending.
Hmm.
So, anyways, so I get that. Um, when I first started writing, I tried to do the whole outline stuff, and I did the big boards and everything. But I think as I've come along, um, I really enjoy as the story comes about. I feel like it's a new book that I get to read. Do you have that kind of emotion when you're doing yours as well?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Characters surprise me. It's like what?
Yeah.
So
Right?
like,
It's
um,
you just get blown away. Sometimes I'm like, and this is gonna sound like I'm really egotistical about my own self, but please trust me, you know what I mean? I'm not. I mean, well, maybe I am, but anyways, I'll be like, sometimes I'll go back and I'm editing. I'm like, holy crap, I'm a mad genius. This is good. This was a good line. I like this, and so
right.
I love that. I love that. I love being able to. Now, don't get me wrong. With each book, I write, especially when you're dealing with a series. And I'm assuming your series is in the same town, but probably not the same cast of characters.
It's in the same town, and that um there are some people that show up. Like the first book was the sister's book, Catherine's book.
Mm,
The second
okay.
book is the brother's book, Carl's book, and someone coming in from Michigan, coming down as a bride to Kentucky. So, yeah. And in the first book, there's this character who's a scoundrel. His name is Cletus Tooth. And that's just
Mm,
what he said his name was, and I had to go with it. Um, so when he showed up in my story, that's what he said his name was. But he shows up in book two, and um, so it's just kind of there are some funny things that Cletus does in book two, and so yeah, I like that character. I'm thinking about doing a book four of Cletus and him finding love. So, but that's I've got to get through book three first.
yeah. And you're writing that currently, yes?
Book three, yes.
Okay. Can you give us a little bit of, and the book is titled for anyone who's interested, The Rejected Mail Order Bride. Can you give us a little bit about that one?
Sure. So let me see. Rose Henderson comes down to Harrisville, Kentucky, as on the train as a mail order bride, and she's coming into town because Cletus Tooth ran an ad for mail order bride, and she happened to see it. They were um, exchanging letters, and she decides to come down of her own accord um, to meet him and to marry him. And so she had uh, sent, she was on her way and she sent a telegram letting him know that she was coming. And he's like, oh, okay. And then when he meets her at the depot, um, he just doesn't like her size. And so he's like, no way, I don't want a fat wife. And
Oh.
yeah, I know. So he rejects her. And um, so then Harl happens to be next door and runs into Cletus. Cletus is like, you know, I don't want this woman. He's like, you left her there? And Cletus goes on, and Harl goes over to the depot. And um, so he puts her up for the night at a hotel, at the hotel in town, thinking that he's going to get her back on the train headed north. She was actually running away from um, a bad match that her father
Mm.
had made for her. And so the next morning, she goes out to check for the train schedule for the day, and it was an ice storm, a really bad ice storm. And um, she slips and falls and twists her ankle. So the ice storm, I when we went down to Kentucky one winter, there was a bad ice storm where it was very, very thick ice, and it's like, wow, I didn't know it could get this cold. Um, I have pictures of like the uh, the springs. Um, I like the water that would drip down the limestone, from the ledges, and uh, the from the mountain was totally frozen, and just frozen and frozen and frozen. So it would drip and it would freeze, and then it would keep on dripping and keep freezing. So it's just
Mm.
mounds of ice um, cascading down
Mhm.
these hills. So just remembering that is also why I did the ice storm. Um, for whatever reason, I like setting my books in the wintertime. So I'm like, what? So, anyway.
I get that. I like writing in the wintertime because it's just so peaceful. I don't have the distraction. I even like recording since I have my own sound studio. I like doing a lot of my auto recordings for my Audible books in the wintertime because it's just peaceful.
Nice.
There's no lawnmowers. You know what I mean? There's
Oh,
no
yeah.
loud engines. Even though I'm in the sound booth, you know what I'm saying? And it might not be picked up on the equipment, I still hear it. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Well, that's awesome. And so when do you expect the third to come out?
Um, the publisher has like a 2-year lag. So I
Mm,
have to get this book done first. Um,
mhm.
because for the first one, I signed the contract in 2019 in December, like December 29th or something like that. And the book came out in 2022.
Yeah.
So there was that. And then I signed the contract for the next book in like April, March or April of 2022. And then this one, the second one just came out in April of 2024. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Well, that's cool.
yeah.
So now you've got some things upcoming as well, right? I think I read that there is an event coming up in, is it December?
There's one, well, the next one is in November.
Oh, November. Okay. And I believe
Yeah.
that is what, Lust in the City?
Yes, it is.
All right.
Don't make a
I
name
got
for
that.
you. So I'm
I
a
got that
sweet,
part right.
yeah, yes, you did. I'm a sweet, I write sweet. So, and
Right.
um, so there's no bedroom scenes or, um, there is like one kiss in each book. So, my books are inspirational, historical romance.
Right.
So, in keeping with that, I have one, kiss and a little bit of hand touching and, things like
Right.
that. So looks and
Now,
so.
with that saying, do you find it hard with the events that are more intent, like even in their titling?
How do you mean? Like,
Well, like, it's not uncomfortable for you to mix that way? Do you, as far
oh
as
no,
more heated romances? Okay. So it's
no,
not,
never been.
okay. So you enjoy the experience of being there. Okay. Gotcha.
Yes, I
All
do.
right. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I get that. When I do have a couple of romances I have written, and I'm like you. There's well, it's kind of hard. I have more than one kiss, but it doesn't allude to anything more. Do you know what I'm saying? There's
Mhm,
no
mhm.
real heat in it, should I say it that way? But when I write my other action packs and um, uh, the more sci-fi kind of range, there is more heat. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So when I do romance, when it's stationed just for the romance, it's more, um, you know what I mean? It's more, I don't know if it would be as on the same level where you're saying about the kiss. There is a little bit more of intention, but there's no, how can I say this? There's no grind to it.
Okay. All right.
That's the easiest way of putting that. So
Right.
I get that. And I think there's a place for all of that. I like both. I like
Mhm.
having the intentions like Pride and Prejudice. I love that. I love the movie so much. I have the DVDs and I rewatch it and rewatch it. But I
Oh
also like
yes.
um True Blood. You know what I mean? And we all know how
Mhm,
Sookie
mhm.
Stackhouse is a little bit more, it's just a little bit more. So I can
Uh-huh.
appreciate it on several different levels. So I get that.
Right.
So
Right.
I've really enjoyed having you on this evening. I want to thank you
Well,
for
thank
being with
you.
us.
Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed myself very much.
Well, wonderful. You're more than welcome to come back anytime. It was a pleasure having you on.
Thank you. I
Well, thank
appreciate that.
you.
I would
Well,
love
you're
to come
welcome.
back on in
Well,
10 years
awesome.
after book three is written. So, so
Awesome. That's great. Um, and then, like I said, I mean, our doors are always open. We love having new experiences with new authors, and it doesn't even always have to be an author experience. I am an author, so typically that is what's on my shows. But
mhm.
I love talking with people in general about their experiences, their life, their past. Um, just very interesting to get to know you in such a way. So I want to thank you so much for being with us. I want to thank our listeners. Until next time, guys. Bye bye for now.